Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 110 of the GVGCast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to all of you. I'm your host for today, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined by the one and only Brandon Miracle, my good friend and GVG partner. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me.
We should just do the whole podcast as Mario and Sonic. I'll get going right now, and people can listen to a whole hour of this.
I don't know if I could last that long.
I probably couldn't either, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think my voice would probably crap out before the end of the hour. And speaking of voices, we want to send all of our love to our compatriot Daniel, whose voice is still healing, which is why he's not here today. But he is on the mend. He's making a recovery. And yeah, we wish him all the best. And he's still working super hard behind the scenes, but he'll be back to doing videos soon enough and streams and such. But he's just still working on healing his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve, of course, is he's got work and he's working on like the Win and Play Nation. So he's busy with other stuff. And Derek is unfortunately a little sick today, feeling under the weather. So we're sending him lots of get well vibes, and hopefully he's feeling better sooner rather than later. And as always, of course, John is asleep, or we hope he is, because it's 1 a.m. for him. So the whole crew is all right, just a little scattered. But Brandon and I are here with you today. As always, I've got a couple of patron shout outs or birthday shout outs to do. Happy belated birthday to Blaystar25, who celebrated their birthday on Tuesday, July 16th. We didn't have an episode last week, so happy belated birthday to you. Also, happy belated birthday to Akari, who celebrated their birthday this past Monday, the 22nd. So happy birthday.
Oh.
And finally, happy belated birthday to H Toast, who celebrated their birthday just 2 days ago on Wednesday, the 24th. So happy birthday to all of you. Hope you spent the day. Yeah. Hope you spent the day eating lots of great food, playing lots of great games, hanging out with friends and family, all the cool stuff that one would normally do on their birthday. So, Brandon, my man, how are you? What have you been up to lately? What you been playing? What you been doing? What's going on in your life?
Just doing a little bit of this and that. Gaming hasn't been a huge part of it lately, as I've been spending more time making all of that happen.
It looks so good, man.
Yeah, thanks.
It
I'm
looks
very,
so good.
very happy with the current state of things in this room. I've been playing a little bit of Famicom Detective Club.
Nice.
Outside of that, oh, you know what? Just before the show today, I got my N64 working, which is over on this side of the room that you can't see.
Nice.
I've been having issues getting it to play games, but just gave it a nice cleaning, and now it seems to be working, though not consistently. So there might be some other issues, but at the very least, I got Mario 64 working, and I played around for a bit just to make sure it was all right. But yeah, it's nice to have a little retro corner now.
Hell yeah. I would really like to do up this room in a similar, really fancy way if I can ever find the time to do it. It's just a matter of, I'm a little happy with the little mini setup I have over here with, Ocarina of Time Link and the Mega Man board and Mega Buster and the helmet. Got a cool, the Kingdom Hearts helmet blanket back behind to my right. But it's not as, not anywhere that fancy. And yours just looks so cool with the lighting and is that like an LED with the controller, like an LED board, or?
Yeah, it's an LED light. It's honestly
so cool.
Insanely bright and kind of distracting.
I can see what you mean.
If there was a way for me to turn it down, I would. But yeah, other than that, like I love my little Animal Crossing light. It's not technically mine. It's actually Michaela's. She just left it in here, so now it's part of my set.
Nice. And our good friend Rec BCQ mentioned in live audience chat that they're okay with an early ending if it means the whole podcast is done in our Mario and Sonic voices. And I have to say, I did see myself rep back there in your background.
Oh, yes, right next to Mario and my bro.
That's so good, man. Well, as for me, I have not been doing a ton of gaming lately myself either, because I've been watching a lot of gaming. As y'all know, my wife and I took a little vacation to Vegas last week for Evo. We go to Evo every year with her sister-in-law and her husband. It's kind of become a thing we all do together, and I take full credit for it. I have gotten them all into competitive fighting games, like watching competitive fighting games. And Bisla, my wife, loves playing Tekken now. We're playing a lot of Tekken 8 now. I'm more of a Street Fighter guy, but I'll play anything with her, and she usually beats my ass at Tekken. I usually have the commanding lead in Street Fighter, but she's getting pretty like Tekken. She's really digging in, and I love to see it. But yeah, we were Evo for the past weekend, and as always, it was hype as hell. The match, the skill on display is just incredible, and when you're there in the finals room amidst all that hype and you're following the narratives of these different players and the different rivalries they all have, and it's just, especially when it gets really close and the brackets are reset, it's just electrifying in the crowd being there, and it's always just so much fun. And then you're already, you're in Vegas for the rest of the time, so there's plenty of other fun stuff to do when you're not at Evo. And a highlight for me this year was that the throwback game, there's a different throwback game every year. And the throwback game this year was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And that is one of my very, very, very favorite games to watch. I've loved watching it over the years. Everyone knows Evo Moment 37. But there was actually something that happened during Third Strike Finals this year that some people are calling Evo Moment 38. And it was pretty damn hype, involving a bunch of air parries in a row. And
I saw
Third
that
Strike
clip
is just such a
actually.
damn fun game to watch. And and visually though too, it just holds up so well. You know,
Yeah. I
yeah.
Speaking of Evo, I saw your tweets about main stage and how finals was hard to get into, and I saw a lot of people talking about that. How did that end
Yeah.
up going?
So that was the main kind of the big egg on their face this year. They switched to a new venue this year. Instead of it being in the Mandalay Bay Hotel, now it's in the Las Vegas Convention Center. And in some ways, it was an improvement. I would say in most ways, it was an improvement. But the one key way in which it was a major step back was finals, because in previous years the finals would be done in the Mandalay Bay's like stadium style seating arena, where it's like literally like a basketball court style, or stadium style seating, where it's just 360-degree seating all looking at a stage and big screens in the middle. Whereas now it was in a much comparatively smaller room with just there's just a bunch of chairs and some smaller bleachers kind of around, like arranged around the back and sides of a room, with just everything happening in front. And it still seated quite a few people comparatively, but just, or I should say relatively, but so much less
Hmm.
than the stadium style seating allowed for before, which unfortunately meant that a lot of people who paid for their badge didn't get to go to finals, including my wife and me. We got to see Third Strike finals in the finals room, as well as Under Night in Birth, and that was fun. But then we got there pretty early for Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 4. We got there about 3 hours early, and we couldn't get in, just like a
That's
bunch of other
awful.
people. Yeah, and it's a shame too, because in previous years they ticketed finals separately. So if you bought a separate finals ticket, you knew you were going.
Hmm.
Whereas here, it's just everything is all together. And while that makes it more convenient, you're just paying one time instead of twice. The assumption is, well, if I'm paying for everything, I'm getting everything. And that was not the case for the vast majority of people who wanted to go to finals on Sunday. And after waiting 3 hours, my wife and I were like, you know what? At least we got to see Third Strike and Under Night. Let's just cut our losses, get some snacks, get some drinks, go back to the hotel room and stream it and just be comfortable and watch it. So that's what we ultimately did for Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6. And then throughout the rest of our trip, we kind of got caught up on the other finals like KOF 15 and Mortal Kombat 1 and stuff like that. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest bummer of the whole experience. And
Hmm.
live and learn. Next year we'll know to get there early in the morning for Sunday finals, and just I guess we'll have to be there all day, even if we don't want to watch every single game. But if we want to be there for Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8, which we do, we're just gonna have to be there all day. So
Well, that's kind of a bummer that it
yeah,
played out that way.
yeah, but it was still so much fun. And the other thing I got to do was, and those of you watching may have already seen the video on the channel, but I got a behind closed doors preview opportunity for the Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classics Collection. I got to play it on PS5. Got like a little bit under an hour with it, and so I captured the footage and got my gameplay impressions, and then I sent those over to Steve, who because of course I was in Vegas, so on vacation there wasn't really a way for me to do the video myself. So I sent those impressions and footage over to Steve, and he kind of put that together based on my impressions, which I super appreciate. Steve, if you're watching, thank you for double teaming that video with me, man. And it's ended up doing really well. So if you haven't seen the preview yet after GVGcast tonight, if you're looking forward to the Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, definitely go check that video out. It's been on the channel since Monday, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm excited about this collection. So it was
Nice.
nice. Yeah. So it was nice of Capcom to give us that preview opportunity. But otherwise, yes, like I said, not a lot of gaming right now. Just I've been watching a lot of gaming. But now that I'm back home, I'm going to continue chipping away at the Thousand Year Door remake. I'm in chapter 7 now, so I'm closing in on the end. And getting
Good.
really close to the X Naught base. And I'm so excited to hear how they remastered that song because it was one of my favorites in the original. It's so dancey and fun, and I can't wait.
Have you heard the Far Outpost battle theme yet?
I haven't. I haven't. I'm at the very beginning of chapter 7.
Okay, that's one of my favorite songs in the whole remake.
I can't wait. And yeah, that's basically everything. I think the next thing I'm gonna start trying to play before like Visions of Mana and Astrobot hit is I realized I never played Princess Peach Showtime. It just kind of fell off my radar because I think I was playing something else
Hmm.
and I never played it. And it seems like a nice little bite-sized game, pleasant enough to check out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish it. I played probably a little over half of it.
Okay.
Michaela ended up playing the entirety of it, and she really enjoyed it. Um, I thought it was all right. I mean, it's not bad.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Definitely a good, uh, yeah, like you said, kind of bite-sized game.
Okay, nice. Which is, that's always, especially after you've been playing a lot of longer games sequentially, like I have recently, between FF7 Rebirth and Spider-Man 2 and Paper Mario. It's, kind of nice to have something a little shorter.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah. So I'm trying to think of what else is. What I know there's Nintendo World Championships. I can't say I have a lot of personal interest in it, so I'm a little bit. There's also Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, which I do need to pick up. I played a
it's
little bit of
good.
it. Yeah, I need to pick that up and play that for sure. So I need to get caught up. Paper Mario's kind of taken a lot of my time, and I just haven't had a ton of gaming time recently. But yeah, those are probably the next things I'll try to check out before Visions and Astrobot hit. Because once those hit, that's it. Those two are top of the pile for me instantly. I'm a big Mana fan. Astrobot is probably my most anticipated game of the year right now, or the rest of the year right now. So yeah, once those hit, I'll be playing those pretty much exclusively until I finish them.
I think the next game I'm really looking forward to is probably MEO.
Right. Oh, and that's actually that's coming out before Visions of Mana. That's true. So
Yep,
yeah,
towards the end of next month. Outside of that,
yeah,
like, there's kind of a nice lull right now,
it is nice. Yeah,
which thank goodness, because you know, from September until November, there's honestly too much coming out. Way too many games that
yep,
I want to play
yeah.
between Mario Party, MEO, Astrobot, Sparking Zero,
Right.
um,
It's coming too.
Mario and Luigi, The Legend of Zelda. I
Yes.
am swamped with
So
games
much
soon.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, once Mario Luigi Brothership and Zelda hit, that's going to be a whole nother just 1-2 punch of just so much gaming time going to those games.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and Super Mario Party Jamboree. I know I was initially kind of sour on it just because I wasn't a fan of the original Super Mario Party. I know you were quite the fan of the original Super Mario Party, but then
Yeah.
once I went back and watched the trailer a few more times, I'm like, no, you know what? This looks like they're cooking something pretty damn good here.
It's
And yeah,
it's really only Super Mario Party in name.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like
my yeah,
the biggest thing that they're pulling from Super Mario Party is just the big roster, and
yeah,
then the small selection of motion control games. I
right.
don't think there's even that many. We don't have a final count yet, but it's overwhelmingly button, I think.
Yeah, and there's way more boards than there were in Superstars, which I think, as much as I do continue to still like playing Superstars, I think that's the lack of overall board count is kind of the weakest, the biggest blemish on that game because there are only 5, and it
It's
just kind of feels like not enough variety.
it's interesting because when you like compare Super Mario or not Super Mario, when you compare Superstars to uh the rest of the games, like most games had 6 boards at least.
Yeah,
Um or even topped out at 6 actually. Uh but I want to say that Super Mario Party Jamboree at 7 is going to be tied for the most ever.
yeah,
which
I believe
is
so.
insane. Like I think the approach of having 5 original and then bringing 2 back is perfect.
Yeah.
That's a lot of variety. You'll get a lot more time out of it. Plus the, was it over 100 mini games? Um, something like that. Like
Right.
this is gonna be the most packed Mario Party ever. Super Mario Party. The super is earned here, I think.
Oh yeah. And they've got that 20-player mode that they're cooking, which
Hmm.
is going to be great for our EP hangouts. That I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, there's just so much coming toward the end of the year that's going to take up all of our gaming time, and Visions of Mana will be here before I know it. But I too, actually, I forgot that Emio comes out before Visions, and I too am interested in that because, Steve and I did kind of the dual review of the other two Famicom Detective Club games, the remakes of them,
Hmm.
on the channel, back when they came out a couple of years ago. And I played the girl who stands behind. He played the Missing Air, and we both had a good time with the games we played. And I played about half of the Missing Air and was having a good time with that too. And then I just got kind of sidetracked. But I really like what I've seen and heard about Emio. And the fact that we're getting a third Famicom Detective Club game, I guess technically a fourth. I know there's the one that was not in BS. I think it was one of the
This is a
Satellite
game.
View. Yeah. So technically the fourth. But the fact that we're getting a brand new Famicom Detective Club game 30 years later is so damn cool. And these games definitely have a dark, creepy edge to them that I really enjoy. That what I've seen with Emio, I want to play that too.
I mean, the considering we're getting what is it M rated? I think.
I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going harder than they ever have before. So I look forward to see what that's all about. I'm still playing through the original two. I'm about halfway through the girl who stands behind.
Okay.
But I want to make sure I've played both because it is very clearly a follow up because we see the 3 characters on the box art. We see the protagonist, Ayumi, and what's his name?
Oh,
Utsugi?
yeah.
Utsugi?
Utsugi, yeah.
Yeah, so they're all there. So that's cool. I love seeing
Yeah.
that it's just an actual follow up and not just,
Me too.
not like the Final Fantasy where like you get a Final Fantasy brand new cast, all that stuff. It's
No,
nice.
it's like an actual sequel.
Yeah, an actual sequel.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it all wraps up because Sakamoto does make it sound like this will be the end of Famicom Detective Club as we know it at the very least. I'm sure
Right.
there'll be more games, but it'll be a fresh slate, I think, moving forward.
Yeah. And he even said in that little interview that like people might be a little polarized by how it ends, which definitely makes me curious
There's
what he's
only a
doing.
couple things that could mean.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's really cool that they're bringing this series back with a brand new game, and so soon too. I love this trend of Nintendo. Well, not really saying a trend now because they've been doing it for quite a while,
Yeah.
but I just love that they announce things fairly close to release. Like they typically don't announce things years out. Obviously, there are exceptions like Metroid Prime 4. That's an exception.
Or
But like
Zelda.
or Zelda, but like generally with a lot of these, smaller games, we hear about them 3 to 5 months in advance of release, which is really cool.
It's
And
perfect.
sometimes even less. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about a game that's 4 or 5 years out that's not going to have any gameplay or any
Yeah,
substance to latch onto. Like
exactly.
that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Same. Mito Green, to answer your question in Twitch chat, how goes Dual Destinies? As I've said, my wife and I haven't been playing a lot of games because we went to Evo, and yes, I brought my Switch, but typically we were out all day at Evo and just doing other stuff. But we are right in the middle of the DLC case for Dual Destinies, and as all of you told me, you're right. It's so much better. Easily one of the best cases so far. Probably one of my favorite cases in the entire series so far, to be honest, and a complete turnaround from the total ass that was case 5.2. So I'm so glad we put 5.2 in the rearview mirror. That case sucked so bad, but the DLC case is completely making up for it, and it is easily, I think, not just one of my favorite cases in Ace Attorney so far, but I think one of my wife's as well. We're just absolutely loving it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I think we're about halfway through it, so I'm not going to say too much because if you are playing it and you haven't played this case, it's wacky, and I don't want to spoil anything. The defendant is wild, even by Ace Attorney standards. So that's all I'll say about that. Now, Brandon, you'll notice maybe, I don't know if you have already, but you may have seen what shirt I'm wearing. This was intentional
I'm very
because,
aware.
yes, so this was very intentional. So As you know, right before we went to Evo, my wife and I got to go to the live premiere here in LA of the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai season 6, part 1. And so I got to watch those before you. Now, however, I suspect that you have leapfrogged me because I haven't watched the other 3 yet, because again, Evo. So I have to ask, have you watched the entire first batch yet?
I have. We watched it
Okay,
in
I
one
figured.
night.
Nice. Nice. I will be doing that this weekend. I will be binging. I'll probably honestly rewatch the first 2 with better audio and just,
Yeah.
being comfy. And then just, yeah, I'm going to binge all 5 because I've been hearing some pretty crazy things about something that happens in the 5th episode. And I don't know though. I haven't been spoiled, thankfully.
This show continues to go places, and I love it so much.
Nice.
It's gonna be torture waiting for November for part 2, and then
Yep.
waiting again for part 3. But I'm excited that the season is gonna be so long. This is gonna be the longest season
Right.
ever, I think.
15 episodes.
Yeah, which is insane. Um, but yeah, it's great. I loved part 1 of season 6. I think you will too. Um, yeah, if you haven't watched Cobra Kai or Karate Kid, please, you're doing yourself a
Please,
disservice.
yeah. You are missing out if you haven't watched Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. And yeah, the first 2 episodes, I adored them, and I cannot wait to see what's in store in the other 3.
You're in for a
And they did announce
treat.
that they also announced that the second part is going to be launching 2 weeks earlier now, which not a huge difference, but a
Oh,
nice little present.
is this still November? Oh,
It's still November, so that was actually something they announced at the premiere event, and basically they made it sound like a bigger deal than it ultimately turned out to be. But basically, they moved it up from November 28th to November 15th. So little 2-week bump.
I'm gonna guess then that part 3 is probably in March.
That sounds about
It's
right. I would
3-ish
think.
months in
Yeah,
between each drop.
yeah. Fairy Pastor Sinja, to answer your question in live audience chat, it is on Netflix. So
Yep.
if you got Netflix, go check it out. Trust me, it's so worth your time, and it's such an amazing show.
It's kind of
And
funny. Season 1 is actually a YouTube original.
I know it was a YouTube Red show
Yeah.
originally, which haven't heard that in a while, right?
And then
Yeah,
starting with season 2, it went to Netflix.
right. And YouTube Red kind of died super quickly.
It did not last long.
Yeah, yeah. Fairy Pastor Sinja, it is worth borrowing a friend or family member's account if you can. It is.
Oh, 1 and
Uh,
2 were red. Okay.
Tuxping, I wouldn't say you necessarily have to have seen Karate Kid to watch it, but you should. And even so, you should just watch the Karate Kid anyway because it
It's a good
rules.
movie. Yeah.
It's just a damn good movie. So you don't have to, but I would.
Pat
And
Morita as Mr. Miyagi has a screen presence that I don't see in a lot of actors. So put some respect on his name and
yeah,
watch the dang movie.
please do. Absolutely. And BC King Games absolutely prefer the original Karate Kid. The remake it's fine, but
I've never
the
seen it
original
actually.
it's okay. It's not like an embarrassment or anything. It's fine, but I would absolutely go with the original every time.
It's interesting too because Jackie Chan's going to be in the new Karate Kid movie again,
Right.
alongside Ralph Macchio. So I wonder if are they combining the canons?
I
What's
know. I'm
happening?
wondering if they're bringing it all like together into one shared universe, and I'm still wondering if we're going to see. And obviously, this may be something you can comment on since you've seen more than I have. But I'm still wondering if we're going to see Hilary Swank in season 6, and that would be wild if we do. So, I see you, Azran, saying you two just wax on about this movie. Well done. Your pun game is always strong, but it's especially strong today, I have to say. So one thing I do want to bring up with you, we're not going to talk about too much news today, but one thing I know that you're also really into, Brandon, is this Lego Super Mario World Mario and Yoshi set. And
What the
actually,
heck,
that's
man? Where did
it's
this
so
come from?
cool, right? And it's actually not the only Lego gaming reveal we got this week. So we got that Mario and Yoshi set. We've got what I personally think is a horrifying Shadow the Hedgehog head on like a pillar type thing. It's really weird. And then we got a great Deku Tree sneak peek at San Diego Comic-Con. Like, have you seen all this stuff yet?
I have. The Shadow the Hedgehog head is weird.
I don't like it.
It's really
I don't
weird.
like it.
They,
Yeah.
they should have called it Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Well done. Well done.
Um, but the Mario and Yoshi is fantastic.
It really the Mario, and the fact that it has a little crank that like you crank it up and it does a little walking animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. And
And
like I don't have yeah.
and Yoshi's tongue will come out. His nose kind of does one of these.
Yeah, yeah.
Look,
And
it looks a little
uh,
funky, but at least that part. But just the whole concept's really sick.
yeah, it really is. And I like how they've got the even little like the bobbing animation, like his head kind of bobs as he
Hmm.
as the walking happens. It's really well
Oh yeah,
done.
the cape even swings a little bit too.
Right. Yeah, it's one of the coolest Lego sets I've ever seen, and I wish I had more room for stuff because like I think Legos are pretty cool, and like if I had room to display this stuff, I absolutely already would have bought the Lego Green Hill Zone Sonic set because I think that looks so cool. And like I would want that. I'd want the Mario and Yoshi one. And man, the Great Deku Tree one. Have you seen this too?
I have.
Oh, it's
I
so cool, right?
I love that it's a 2-in-1.
Mhm.
They're definitely trying to get you to buy two.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
um, but I love that it comes with all those minifigures. There's a little hook shot for Link. Honestly, I think I might be more into those than just the whole build. Official Link minifigures.
Yeah, honestly. And it seems like it comes with so much too.
Yeah, it's really, really packed in. Link has a lot of accessories. The fact that there's two entire Deku trees. You got the one from Ocarina and then the one from Breath of the Wild in Tears of the Kingdom. Um, and it's funny because like the Ocarina of Time one comes with a baby Deku tree.
Right.
After you do the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, I love that.
That's so cool.
Um, it should have been a 3-in-1 though. Where is the Wind Waker
Yeah, agreed.
with the big old jawline on that massive Deku Tree boy?
Yeah, that
Um,
would have been cool. And I want a Lego King of Red Lions.
though I guess technically he is there because he's the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I love that this is here. I think I'm gonna make the Ocarina one if I get it. Just because how could I not?
Yeah.
It's who I
And
am.
and Lego Hestu is something I did not know I needed. He looks so great.
Does he have little maracas?
He sure does.
Of course.
He sure does. I still think a Lego Kirby set needs to happen. I feel like that needs to be the next frontier for Lego Nintendo.
As far as I'm concerned, the floodgates are open.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing a lot of stuff. I think something that I would love to see. Um, it's such a shame that there's not a bunch of Star Fox merch. Like
Yeah.
I would love buying ships. The Arwing, the Wolfen. I'd love to have a big model Great Fox. Um, let me build those. I would probably go broke if that ever happened.
Yeah.
But Kirby too. Like I think it would be cool actually if they made some Smash Brothers sets.
Oh God, yes.
Lego sets of the stages. Like I'm imagining Greens from Melee, and that would make a beautiful Lego set.
That would actually look amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
love that idea.
if that ever happens, I will go broke.
Yeah, Legos aren't cheap.
No, they are
Lego sets
not.
are not cheap. Yeah. Also talking about the floodgates, that just brought to mind the like the user mock-up or the fan mock-up of a Lego Samus gunship. And I just posted it in live audience. Do you remember this from like a couple of years back?
I don't actually.
Yeah, it was like Lego is having some sort of like creator contest to like get your concept into an official to be made into an
Wow.
official Lego set. And this didn't make the cut, but it stood out to me as looking really cool.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This
Yeah,
is happening now.
it's got to. It has to at some point, right?
We have passed the threshold. This is
Yeah,
this is on the table now.
yeah,
Oh, I love the little Metroid in the tube.
yeah.
I didn't even notice it. Oh,
It's so good.
Samus's morph ball just being like two pieces stuck together. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh man, Game Belt Summon says Lego Xenoblade. A Lego Mechanis or Bionis would be so cool.
If they made that like big, like
Yeah,
a decent sized scale, that would be an insanely cool, but also insanely expensive.
yeah,
I have the Lego Super Mario question block, the Mario 64 one.
right.
I still need to finish building it. but even that one was like $200, and
Mhm.
it's it's fairly big. It's like yay big, but still, I'm
Yeah.
like, man.
No, I hear you. All right. Well, before we move on to patron topics, I do want to ask you about one more little thing from the week, and this is in the spirit of having talked about Evo, and of course, as always, there are fighting game related announcements that happened at every Evo. This year's no different, and so I wanted to get your take because I know that you and Daniel were pretty into MultiVersus for a while back when the open beta was happening,
Yeah.
and I wanted to get your feeling on how you're feeling about MultiVersus right now because Samurai Jack and Beetlejuice and possibly Wacko got revealed for Multiverses during Evo. And I'm just kind of curious to see how you feel about that, what your kind of feeling on the game is right now. Are you playing it at all? Do these
I'll
announcements mean anything to you?
I'll tell you my feeling.
Okay.
Um, I haven't played MultiVersus since it came back. I
Uh
just
huh.
haven't.
Just haven't. Yeah. I
the
haven't really either. Yeah.
The narrative surrounding it has been so negative that I just didn't bother.
Yeah.
That
It's,
said,
yeah.
I love Samurai Jack. Samurai
Same.
Jack is an incredible piece of animation. Um,
Yeah.
Whether you watch the original series or the finale season that they did on Adult Swim a few years ago, 10 out of 10 show. Um, so Samurai Jack was like right near the top of my list of characters that I wanted to see in this game. So
Mhm.
perfectly happy that that's happening or has happened.
Nice.
I guess he's already in the game, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe he's already in the game. And I guess Beetlejuice is coming a little bit later. And then I guess there was a possible tease for Wacko from the Animaniacs. I'm not quite clear on that, but
There was a
that would
balloon
be
with Wacko's face on it in the key art.
right. In the key art there was, and then I think there's something it's been a few days since I've seen the trailer. I thought there might have been a tease. I can't quite remember, but that would be maybe something that would get me to try picking it up again, just to have
Hmm.
like an Animaniacs rep in there.
Do
But
that in Tiny
it's
Toons, and I'm on board.
Tiny Toons. Arnold the Pitbull would be perfect.
I love
Uh,
Tiny Toons, man.
Buster with his Buster Bust Loose moveset.
Oh my god, just the
That
little
would be
flip. That's all
yep.
I want.
Yeah, and the slide, the belly slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Tiny Toons so much. They really that would be really cool for them to mine Tiny Toons or Animaniacs for sure.
Yeah, they should. I hope the game ends up in a better place soon because back in its original beta period, I really, really enjoyed it. Me and Daniel had a lot of fun. I think positioning the game as a 2v2 game first is
Hmm.
actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Even though the audience playing it seems incredibly resistant to actually play the game that way.
Yeah. I'm guilty as charged. I'm not a big 2v2 guy, even though clearly that's the way they want you to play the game. But when I was playing the open beta, I was mainly doing 1v1. And so I definitely was part of the problem.
I think it's more interesting as a 2v2 game,
Yeah.
personally, just because all of the characters having those kind of they have abilities that are kind of unique to them or status ailments and stuff like that
Yeah.
that work together in tandem. So I think it's better that way, but obviously people are going to play the game how they want to.
Right.
Before we move on, though, I have been playing a different fighting game that I did play today. Uh,
Okay.
Kickstarter backers can play the Rivals 2 beta,
Ooh, okay.
and they're having a beta weekend right now. And I didn't play the first two, so I actually loaded it up today and played around with all the characters. All I'm gonna say is that game's gonna kick ass.
Nice. That's awesome. I have not played the original Rivals of Ether, but I've only heard awesome things about it.
Rivals 2 is a lot closer to Smash than the original was.
Is it? Okay.
There's grabs and ledge grabbing, those shields. None of that stuff was in the original.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Um,
Mom. Yeah.
Mach 5 Mike is asking, do I have a favorite character? Ron, no. He's a frog. And he's
Nice.
really cool. You can build up like his I don't know if it's like acid or something, but he makes green bubbles.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Okay.
and when you hit the enemy with his neutral attack, they have a bubble blight that builds up. And then if you use a side B, which he like unfurls his tongue and swallows the enemy, and then they pop out in a bubble of their own. The more bubble blight you give them before you do that, the longer they stay trapped.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's
Okay.
kind of the core of his kit.
That's a cool mechanic. Okay.
Yeah, he's also kind of a martial artist, which just appeals to me. I mean, Dragon
Hmm.
Ball, whatever. Um, but yeah, super cool. When that game comes out, you should definitely give it a try. I think you'd like it a lot.
There are, I don't doubt it. There are so many indie games coming out all the time that I wish I had the time to play. Like, I keep hearing about Spark the Electric Jester 3, which just came out on Switch. And apparently that's like a really good Sonic Adventure, modern Sonic style game. Like,
Hmm.
not necessarily boost style, but like adventure style Sonic.
Hmm.
And I keep hearing that's amazing. And like, Freedom Planet 2 came out earlier this year on consoles. And I haven't played that yet. And there's just always something coming out on the indie scene that looks like I would just love, and I just don't have time for them all.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have for sure, and an embarrassment of riches, but there's just always something coming out on the indie scene that I feel like I would just adore.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes for older games too. Like, the backlog is ever growing, right? There's games I
Yeah,
want to try, and they just get pushed back because newer things keep coming out.
yeah,
Like you, and never having played the original Rivals of Ether, it's 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 a it's a hole that keeps getting bigger. You know.
yeah. And then, and and on any given day, there are, you know, games I've already played that I just would like to play again. Like, I just finished working with the Yacht Club crew on the interview for the updated 10th anniversary Shovel Knight art book, and that got me thinking I want to play Shovel Knight again. So I did. But of course, Shovel Knight is a game that I played a ridiculous number of times already, but it had been a few years, and I'm like, man, I just had the
Not
most
even
amazing
waiting for
time
the
playing.
remake, huh? Or the
Exactly. I just had to play Shovel Knight again because it's that damn good. And then I was listening to the soundtracks to, or the arranged soundtracks to Mega Man 9 and 10 on the way back from Vegas, and I was like, man, I haven't played Mega Man 9 and 10 in a while. I want to play those again too. Like, they're always just, there's so many games that I just want to go back and play again at any given time too, and there's just not enough time, man.
I mean that I think a lot of people have comfort games that they play.
For sure.
Like for me, two off the top of my head, Super Mario World and Super Mario 64. I could
Oh,
decide
sure.
on a dime that I'm just going to play through those games, and I will all the way through
Same.
every time.
I'm like that. Yeah, with Super Mario World. I'm like that with well, pretty basically any Mega Man game. Sonic Mania. I'll boot up and play through Sonic Mania literally anytime. That game never gets old to me. So yeah, no, I hear you. There, Mega Man X, the original Mega Man X. I will play it anytime.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's just as we always say, so many games, too many games, too little time. But it's a good problem to have, I suppose. Yeah. Well, another good problem to have is too many patron topics to choose from. That was definitely the case this week. We had 14 sent in for this episode of GVGcast. So
Holy
thank you
cow!
so much. Yeah. So as a reminder, we do have weekly Patreon topics, and if you want to get in on that action, check us out at Patreon, which is patreon.com/GVGaming, where if you support us at the producer tier or above for just $10 a month, you can support. You can suggest topics for us to discuss each week right here on GVGcast, just like the ones we're about to discuss right now. And Brandon, whose topic did you choose this week, man?
Mine comes from Duncan Joseph Metcalf,
All right.
and they ask GVG regarding Harada's recent tweet about Soulcalibur. He stated that the series isn't dead, but will be a long time before we see it again. What do you want for the series' future to get its core audience? I hope you talk about this because Soulcalibur is among my favorite fighting game series like Smash Brothers. P.S. My soul is still burning. Um,
Nice.
I'm not like a big hardcore Soulcalibur fan, but if I'm talking about traditional fighting games, Soulcalibur is at the top of the list for me. I love that it's a weapon-based fighter, and
Yeah.
that's such a cool like take on the genre. Um, and I'm a big fan of Soulcalibur 2.
Same.
Like who isn't? Soulcalibur 2 on GameCube, Link is a guest character.
Oh yeah.
I played an absolute crap ton of that game. I also bought Soulcalibur 6. I didn't play a ton of it, but I still found it fun.
Same.
I'm sad that that game didn't really seem to catch on, unfortunately. Uh, as far as the series' future is concerned, I don't know if the future is really where I'm looking. I think I would be happy if they just ported Soulcalibur 2 to Switch.
Yeah, it's so true. I just don't know that there is a huge audience there for Soul Calibur 7. I want there to be because like you, I really do like Soul Calibur a lot. And I enjoyed 6. I played it, a decent amount of it and I enjoyed it, but I don't think the series ever quite recaptured the magic it had in Soulcalibur 2, even though 6 was quite good.
Yeah, I think just importing Soul Calibur 2, retaining Link as a guest character, I would hope.
Yeah.
If we got a Switch version, I think that would just reignite the series, maybe quick, quicker than say just making a Soul Calibur 7. Link being a
Right.
guest character would be a big deal today, as big
Right.
as it was back then.
Well, and there is precedent for it because there was Soul Calibur 2 HD Online, which I think was for PS4, if I remember correctly. And of course, that one had Heihachi because it was on PlayStation. I
Hmm.
can't remember if it came to Xbox as well, but I had it and it played quite well. It was a nice HD remaster of Soul Calibur 2. The online played all right. So there is at least precedent for them doing maybe a Switch or Switch 2 version where they carry Link forward as the guest character. I would love that personally.
Yeah, I would buy that in a heartbeat. Um, but yeah, I'd like to see Soul Calibur make a return, but maybe just focus on bringing some of those older games back with their cool guest characters intact. Um,
Mhm.
and then maybe we could talk about Soul Calibur 7, because I see some people in chat mentioning Breath of the Wild Link being a guest character
Oh, that'd
in
be
another
cool.
game. He
Yeah.
has so many possibilities for weapons between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Just the sheer amount of weapons in Breath of the Wild alone, plus the fusion mechanic in Tears of the Kingdom, I think they could have a lot of fun just building a ton of weapon sets for Link to use. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you haven't played Soul Calibur, um, give it a try. It's just really unique. Um, just don't pick Keelik because that's my guy.
I was always a Talon main myself. I was never super good at Soul Calibur 2. Like I got decent at it, but Talon was always my best. And I was really happy when they brought her back for 6.
I just thought of the easiest crossover they could do, and it's kind of baffling that this hasn't happened yet. Why aren't the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Soul Calibur?
That would be perfect.
Their whole gimmick is that they each have a different weapon class.
That would be, I mean, honestly, after how cool they were in Injustice 2, I would
Yeah.
love to see them. Yeah, that would be amazing to see. And they're everywhere now.
Hmm.
Like TMNT as a franchise is utterly bulletproof. Like they are everywhere. They're crossing over with everything. The new comic run just started and it's doing super well.
We're getting
Like
a
this would be the
Naruto
time.
crossover in November, which is
Yeah.
insane to me.
There are Street Fighter 6 costumes. This would be the time to have them in a weapons-based fighting game. I would be so hyped over the moon for that if they could ever do that.
Day one.
Day one. Day one. But they're like I said, it's possible they could do a Soul Calibur 2 HD, Switch version with Link. And as we're seeing, there's more appetite than ever these days for modern ports of retro fighting games. We're
Yep.
seeing that with the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Out of nowhere, SVC Chaos was shadow dropped during
Hmm.
Evo. That was wild to see because it's not a very good game, but that was one of the only other like traditional fighting games I ever got pretty good at. I got pretty good with Zero there for a while. And it wasn't a good game, but it was like, wow, if they can bring back SVC Chaos for a modern audience, who's to say we're not going to get a CVS collection, like a Capcom versus SNK collection? Personally, I'm holding out hope that we get a Capcom 3D fighting collection with like Rival Schools and Project Justice and Power Stone. But why not Soul Calibur, right?
Yeah. I quickly want to mention Azran saying the franchise's bulletproof state might make it too costly to acquire. I don't know if that's the case. Like, I think TMNT takes a similar approach to Shovel Knight, where
Mhm.
if they get asked, they say yes,
Right.
which is not a bad thing. It's just like they don't seem to be too worried about stuff like that. I mean, we're getting a Naruto crossover. Like, in what universe does that happen?
Absolutely. Why I only recently saw the TMNT and Batman crossover movie, like the
Oh, it's
animated movie.
so good.
It's excellent. It's so good. I was just smiling the entire time,
They teased a part two in that movie, and we still don't have one.
and we still haven't gotten it. I'm still waiting. I'll be there day one for that. Whenever if they ever actually do it.
Got to read the comic if to quell that hunger.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about the debut of the new comic run.
Are
I've
those
heard.
available online?
Yeah, so I was actually looking into it yesterday, and yes, the digital version of the new IDW run issue number 1 is available for $5.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, so I'm probably like one of my best friends is like reading them as they come out, and he really wants me to like read them like so we could talk about them as they come out. So I don't really have anywhere to like collect comics and store them, but I'll probably just start grabbing them digitally each month.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
started reading DC comics just this last week. Just I don't know what compelled me to, but it happened,
Yeah.
and here I am.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thank you for that awesome topic, Duncan. Really appreciate that. And then my topic this week comes from Whisperil, who says, last weekend, I visited a dedicated retro game store for the first time in my life on a road trip. Needless to say, excitement took hold and I spent a bit more than I intended to. My
Uh-oh.
question is, what's the best retro find you traveled to get, i.e., not in your home state? Love the show. Thanks, guys. So this ignited like a really, really fun, wonderful memory for me of my first trip to Japan, where naturally one of my first destinations was Super Potato, which is like the
Yeah,
legendary retro used game store. It's like 5 stories, like 5 floors of just packed wall to wall with every retro game and console and accessory and everything you could possibly think of. And for me, during my first trip to Japan, I wasn't quite as keyed in on the differences between the used game market in the US
hmm
versus Japan. So I had kind of an idea that retro games in Japan were a lot cheaper, but I didn't realize how much cheaper until I got there and it sunk in, and I didn't really intend to buy a whole lot because I wasn't trying to spend a ton of money. But then when I got there and realized that I could get a sealed copy of Chrono Trigger for like the equivalent of $14, I'm like, oh
that's a
shit.
steal.
That's nuts. And
hmm
at first I was like, wait, is it just like the boxes or are the cartridges not in there? No, it's everything. And so I ended up going on a total shopping spree and I got Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Secret of Mana, Rockman 1 through 6 on Famicom, Rockman 7 and Rockman X through X3 on Super Famicom, Rockman and Forte, and what else did I get? FF4. I got FF4 and FF6, and I believe FF5 as well. They're all in storage. And I was able to get all these, and I was walking out the door like less than $200. It was like 150 or something. And I'm like, all these new in box retro games of like some of the best games of all time and some that are really special to me for that little money, that's nuts. So I definitely went on a shopping spree and spent more than I intended to. But what I got for the money I spent, like, Chrono Trigger in box in good condition here in the US, that alone is going to be a couple of $100.
Yeah,
Like, that's nuts.
I've never gone out of my way to go somewhere to buy like something retro, not in person anyway. But I did go on eBay.
Ah,
That's the farthest I've gone was on eBay. Um, and this isn't even like this is barely half the stack, but I got all of these Monster Hunter games,
oh,
um,
nice.
and they're all Japanese copies. Uh, I got the PSP entries, some PS3 ones, um, Monster Hunter Dose, which is the second game, which famously didn't even come out here.
Right.
uh, and I think for all of these, like Japanese games are so cheap, I think I got every entry in the series for like under $200.
That's crazy.
And there are a lot of games. this
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
this isn't even half of them. Um, yeah, so that's probably the farthest I've gone. I'm not really a game collector. Uh,
Mhm.
that's just not really in my budget. But
Yeah, I'm not typically either. Yeah.
so I decided that if I'm gonna collect games, maybe I'll just collect games from series that I like. And the first one I went with was, of course,
Nice.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of went with just like my favorites like Chrono Trigger and FF6 and then like, a bunch of Mega Man games cuz those I would love to have in Japanese versions. And to answer your question, Vedron, yes. All the ones I got were Japanese versions of these games new in box. It sounds crazy to say, I know. And Super Potato is actually that's like the tourist quote unquote tourist trap retro game store in Japan. If you find some of the more like hole in the wall ones, the prices are even cheaper. But Super Potato is just it's iconic, and if you go there, just the way it's all set up and the visuals, it's just dazzling, and it's like an absolute mecca for any gaming enthusiast, especially throughout the 90s and 2000s. So that's just kind of the one you want to go to for the experience, even if the prices are a bit higher. And still, relatively, they were so much lower compared to anything you could get in the States. So,
If you want to, years ago, I did a bunch of vlog edits for Roger. He took a trip to Japan for a couple
mm,
weeks, and he went to a lot of places. One of them
nice.
was, of course, Super Potato, and I don't remember exactly what episode it is, but if you want to just get an idea of what Potato is like, watch his vlog. He picked up some pretty cool stuff there. I think he got a, I think it was a Final Fantasy Tactics Game Boy Micro.
Oh, I kind of remember that being a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he. I'm pretty sure he picked that up in it. It's been years since I worked on it, so go find it if you're interested in seeing what that's like. But super cool.
Bolt Mouse X. I wish I could show you the Rockman games. They're in storage in our closet. We live in it. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment. We just don't have. I don't have room to display all these things, unfortunately. So that's why they're currently in storage. But if and when we ever have a bigger place, or should we ever, go the route of getting a house, we wouldn't be doing that in LA probably for obvious reasons. But I'll be able to display all that stuff if we have more room at some point. But yeah, I just don't have the room. I wish I could show them off though, because if you've seen them before, and I'm sure you have, Famicom cartridges are super cool because they're all differently colored. They just come in depending on the game. They come in various colors. And
Oh, cool.
compared to NES games, which are typically always gray, no, like Famicom cartridges are like they're different colors, and they pop, and they just look really cool lined up next to each other in a way that NES games don't, because they're all the same color.
I mean, even the
But
Famicom itself is just a much cooler looking system.
it really is. It really is. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for that super fun. Oh, actually, one more anecdote. I One thing I did run into that was pretty cool is during a trip to Vegas. I visited a friend. This is years ago, but I visited a friend who used to live there, and he took me to a local like game store, like a mom and pop game store near where he lived in Nevada, and they had modded carts of the original Rhythm Heaven and Mother 3, like patched and like ready to go so you could like play them on your Game Boy Advance. And that was really cool. So I have those lying around somewhere too, but they're basically like actual your Game Boy Advance cartridges with the English fan translations patched already in there, and you can just play them on your actual GBA, so that's pretty cool. And I definitely picked those up when I got the chance to.
Yeah,
Um,
those are great.
yeah.
I uh, I played Mother 3 for the first time. I want to say a year or two ago.
Okay.
On my, I did a little shell replacement and screen replacement mod on my Game Boy Advance. So I got to play it on a nice big bright screen, but on original hardware, which was super cool.
It's so cool. It really makes a difference, especially with Mother 3 with the rhythm-based battle system. It just
Yeah.
never
Hmm.
feels quite right in emulation.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah.
I years and years and years ago, I tried to play Mother 3 in an emulator. And I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago, or however. It was shortly after it came out. However long
Yeah.
ago that was, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. The lag from the emulation made it impossible for me.
So if you can believe it, I actually played the whole game that way. I was actually able to finish the game, but it was rough to play it
How?
that way. I think I eventually learned to what the offset, more or less what the offset was. So I was kind of able to start consistently timing my attacks to that offset, but it was not in any way, shape, or form the ideal way to play the game, obviously.
It was so bad for me that I thought I was just bad at the game. That was
Yeah,
before I even knew that, there was delay. Uh, so definitely play it on real hardware if you can. It's much
definitely.
better that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, really quick, that I didn't pick a second topic because I didn't have a good answer for it, but I did want to shout a drink to the passed out. They said, "We've entered a new age over the course of my lifetime with technology present at the center of almost everything." That said, I thought it was kind of beautiful this week that Derek's other podcast, One Piece at a Time, helped me process the death of my brother as it coincided with a particular character death in the manga. If you know, you know. Now, I didn't have a good answer to your question, A Drink to the Past, but you did say if you picked this topic, I'd also appreciate it if you could give my brother Josh a birthday shout out, as his 41st birthday would have been this Friday, as in today, when you're streaming this episode. So I just wanted to say, even if I didn't have an answer for your topic, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for your loss, offer all our condolences, and, honor your brother with a birthday shout out on what would have been his 41st birthday. So,
What what was the
yeah.
actual question? Is
The actual question was, oh man, let's see. As we shift into this weird new world, have you had any content creators you follow help you process your emotions?
I can talk about this one briefly.
By all means, go for it.
You guys.
Aw, aw. I wasn't prepared for that.
uh, I was listening to you all when I was in college, which was 11 years ago.
Jeez.
um, yeah. So y'all got me through some tough times. So I don't say it enough, but the fact that I'm here with y'all is very weird for me sometimes because I go back and think about all those late college nights that me and my roommate just had a discussion on, and we just listened to them together.
Well, that is super flattering, man. I wish we had more of the crew here to hear that and talk about that. But I mean, I speak for everyone I know when I say that's a huge honor for you to say that, and incredibly flattering. And now that you're here with us, we're just regular people and never meet your heroes,
Yeah,
right?
the magic's gone. Sorry. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding. I'm kidding.
exactly. No, I mean, but right back at you. I'm inspired by the rest of the team, the rest of our team every day, and I'm could not imagine our team without you on it, man. So I'm
Thank you.
flattered that you feel that way, but right back at you. It is an honor to be able to work with you on the GVG team, and I can't imagine doing what we do without you and Daniel. So I wish Daniel was here so I could tell him that too. But maybe he'll watch this episode eventually and see the love.
Welcome to Good Cries Gaming.
Good prize gaming. That is so good. I
uh,
love that.
yeah, it's kind of weird to think about now, especially considering I started listening to you guys 11 years ago. I don't
That's
like
crazy.
saying that because, like,
Yeah.
to me, college was yesterday, and here I am at the sprightly young age of 30 years old with a near 1 year old daughter. Um, I don't know. It's just it's got me feeling weird, but in a good way.
Yeah. Time just doesn't make sense these days. Yeah. And Sausage of Fate, which by the way, epic username, says for me it's y'all, easy allies, and min max. And so while I can't necessarily think of a content creator that I've had that's had me has helped me process emotions when I needed to, I will say Easy Allies has always been for me as kind of a just a really I love that crew. I've been lucky enough to work with that crew in person because they have their studio here in LA, and they always bring such good vibes that I've always been just really particularly impressed by them and what they do. And I know we definitely try to put out similar vibes here at GVG as to what they do. In Easy Allies, and so I would definitely shout them out in terms of being content creators who have personally influenced me and affected my life in positive ways, even if it's not word for word your question, A Drink to the Past, in terms of helping me process emotions. But I do love the Easy Allies.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And Max Dude, I don't like again, hasn't helped me process emotions necessarily, but I love that pun intended, that dude's reactions to everything. He is so absolutely genuine in his love for gaming. As I was playing through FF7 Rebirth, I was following along with his playthrough because he's obviously such a huge FF7 fan, and just the raw passion and love that he has for the games that he loves, like it's infectious. And so he's brought tons of smiles to my face over the years. Just love his reactions, and I love his playthroughs of Remake and Rebirth. So Max Dude is another big one for me.
It's you got me thinking, and I'm now remembering my first days on YouTube.
Mhm.
Um, which, good lord, was a long, long time ago.
Yep.
um, and I think the first creator I ever really like followed, or maybe even subscribed to, for all I know, is Shippage. I don't know if you're familiar with him,
I'm not.
but he made a little machinima back then called Smashtasm, which
Okay.
was made using Melee. And that was before I knew about game hacking and stuff like that. So I had no idea what any of that kind of stuff was. So it was just
Uh-huh.
blowing my mind. I was seeing camera angles I'd never seen before and characters doing things that they shouldn't be able to do. And it was just kind of crazy. These days, he makes a 3D animated Pokemon series called Starter Squad.
Okay.
Those get millions upon millions of views. They're very good if you've never watched them. Um, but a reason I wanted to bring up Shippage is because I don't think I'd be on YouTube without him.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he is the reason I ever even considered doing this kind of stuff.
Well, I'm sure glad he did then, because you wouldn't be here with us without him. So I'm thankful you ran into him.
Yeah, it's weird to think about stuff like that. It's kind of a butterfly effect, you know.
It really is. Like I used to play DDR, as I was like a tournament DDR player in my college days, and like that, a lot of my friends that I have now, I met in those days, and I'd never taken a chance just to try out DDR. I never would have. It's like amazing what little thing can have such a massive rippling effect on your life. Like if I'd
Hmm.
never done that, I never would have met so many of the people who have helped define my life. It's crazy.
If I was but before we stop talking about content creators, I want to bring up one more. I'm wearing his shirt, Chris
Oh,
James. Chris
okay.
James and I used to work together at Office Max
Oh,
years
nice.
and years ago. And he did some videos with me back when I was a college student and I needed actors. And I always knew he was going to go far. Like, I could
Hmm.
tell that he just had the sauce because he's insanely funny. He's a dry wit. He's very quick.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, this guy's going to go somewhere. And I knew it.
Nice.
Um, He's sitting at around 300, I think just shy of 400,000 subscribers right now. Check him out on YouTube. He watches bad television shows and makes pretty funny commentary on them. He also has, it says it on the shirt, but the biggest babe on VHS collection known to man.
That's so good. I love it.
But yeah, he's great. Go check him out.
It's funny. I was just thinking as you were talking about rippling effects. Had I not sat down next to Derek at that Pokemon X and Y
Hmm.
roundtable discussion where I met him at E3, I never would have, gotten involved with the old place, and GVG probably never would have happened. Like it all stemmed from that one meeting where I just happened to sit down next to Derek, and we just were familiar with each other's work. But had that not happened, I don't think I ever would have gotten involved with the old place, and then parlayed that into GVG. It's just crazy how much the tiniest little thing can absolutely change your life.
Yeah, it's wild. I wish I could remember what the first video of y'all's I watched was.
Yeah.
I just don't remember. It's I've been watching you guys for so long that
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point where like you always been there. I don't remember where it started. I think it
Yeah.
was I want to say it was before Pokemon X and Y got announced. I'm positive it was.
So
Um,
the first video I ever did with the back of the old place was a post mortem discussion on A Link Between Worlds with
mhm.
Derek. That was the first video I ever did, and then I ended up just doing, becoming the recurring special guest on all the Smash Weekly discussions, and then it just kind of all snowballed from there. But yeah, that was the first ever video I did.
Yeah, I think I watched that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, but it was definitely when I was in college. I just don't quite remember when it happened, and I
Hmm.
wish I did because that'd be a great a great tale to share on a podcast.
Well, we've talked about this, before when we're like brainstorming video ideas and discussion ideas and such. But if and when the new Smash is announced for Switch 2 or whatever it is, whatever it ends up being, a reboot, Ultimate 2, whatever they end up doing, getting to be able to go back to doing those weekly discussions, assuming that the next Smash has a dojo style website, which I think it probably will.
Yeah,
That is the dream for me, to be able to go back to doing those weekly discussions as a team. Like,
dude, for me that would be
oh,
such a weird full circle moment.
right, I know, right? Yeah.
It's I would absolutely love if that happened. So I know, I mean, obviously another Smash is going to happen,
Right.
There better be a dojo so that this can happen. I'll be so upset if there's not.
I know there has to be, right? I want that so badly. And also Mach 5 Mike, yes, it was such a pleasure getting to see you again at Evo, and I'm so glad we got to watch the sort of the Third Strike finals together. That was super fun. So yeah, well, we ended up going out on a tangent, but I'm glad I kind of did pick out a drink to the past topic for the shout out for his brother, because it turned into a whole ass discussion.
Shout outs to Josh again.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And well, that pretty much brings us to the end of GVG Cast episode 110. Thank you all so much for being here. You know, as I always say, we love doing this with you almost every week. And it's just our great honor to be able to hang out with you all every week and chat and do this. So, since we don't have the credits set up for this episode, I'm going to do the thing again where I did last 2 weeks ago, I should say, I think, where I'm also going to shout out our producers and not just the EPs, because you deserve your shout outs as well when we're not able to roll the credits each, as usual. So, as always, thank you to all of our every single one of our patrons, obviously, but also thank you to all of our patrons at the producer tier and above for helping to make everything we do here happen, because we could not do it without you. And those fine, amazing, wonderful folks include Jacob One, Cutie Caitlin, OG Pepsi dealer. I love that name. Felix Nebulous, Don Koopman, Sonic Kurosaki, Nick Munger, Iggy Coop, Kieran Das, Feeling Dreepy, Betterchan 13, Liam McBride, Super Duper Pooper Scooper, Mitchell Monroe, Darts, Shellshock, DJ Andy, Joseph Bayer, Tony, Ben Frick, Eddie B, Emil, Micah RY, Collix, Legend of Jess, Chris Lewis, Daniel Codd, Gold Lichting, Smoko 13, Michael Abuda, Refined Pet, Hayes, Kristin 2025, Mercury, Mega Amster, Abyssala Osani, Jack Hines, Jackomon, Just I love that one too. Cornflakes, Hendrix Trog, Risemon, Whisperil, Duke of Donuts, Riley McGowan, Kyle the Monarch, I Eat Dragons, Dat Alpha Lion, Kyle Gamer, and Barry Rookie. A Drink to the Past, Caitlin, Cold Cobra 84, Leo Silva 75, Chris Turlack, Disney Duncan Metcalf, Goomba Odyssey, Stoby, Got Game Guy 1, Brandon Digwood, Senku Clover, Ravender, Caleb Likes Toast, Shofi, and finally, Duncan Joseph Metcalf. Thank you all so much. And as always, we have to give a special shout out to all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine, amazing, wonderful, incredible folks include Brandon Bovia, Fangs, Z Patty, Sky Blue Flames, Eastman 23, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Logan Daniel, The D-Pad, Blake, Joy Content, Angel Martinez, Vedran, Joshua Hunter, Benny Yao, Azran127, Black King, Geeky Griffin, Wataniac, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Andrew Medeiros, Darchi, Becca, Esax08, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber CPHT, Too Much Spaghetti, Bane 400, Ascaron 809, Ryaner, Game Bear Advance, The Game Orb, Super Gamer Dude 101, Rosa Pardo Bowling, hi Steve's mom, Darksteel 01, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Cystic Warrior 29, Derek, Colin, Twilord, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp, Keel, Hustlebun, Noah Fitterer, Calvin Atkinson, Brainchild, Jim Wakeland, Aramis Baramis, Lord Metarex, Blaze Collard, Eric, Cat EV Person 5, Mega Beatman True Blue Reviews, Ryan Hanley, Somnia, The Game Jamie, Zombie Joe, Very Master Ninja, and last but never ever least, Marathon Max. Wow, that's a lot of cool people that I just got to read out. Thank you all so much. We are headed out to our patron exclusive post show. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week for episode 111. Good night and good vibes. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.